cool as working on the land, man. So thanks for listening to that. I look forward to sharing it with you as we get
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
All right, well, thanks for coming today and giving me some of your time and sharing
No,
with me about your time at Finca. I have some questions, but I don't have them with me, but I think it'll be just fine. Um, are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right. Well, why don't you just introduce yourself at first? Maybe share a little bit about your family as well.
My name is Chris Cordial. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, the United States, with my wife Tanya and two daughters, Abigail and Penelope.
Awesome. When was the first time you came to Finca?
We came to Finca in February of 2018.
And when you first came to Finca, what was your inspiration for making the journey?
I think the big thing we were looking for was community. We were looking for people, folks who shared our priorities and shared our values. My wife and I unschool our daughters. They've off and on they've attended self-directed schools, otherwise known as democratic schools, and because of that philosophy and that modality, I think we were keen on finding a community of open-minded people who were also very conscious about their carbon footprint and their ability to sort of move back to the land and try and live off the land in a permaculture or regenerative agricultural community.
Awesome. So what did you find when you got to Finca?
We found a very open-minded and very open-hearted place, a community that was very tolerant and very welcoming, with love and understanding.
What was your highlight experience during your visit?
I think, I think, in a lot of ways, for me personally, my time at Finca was transformative in that it really opened my mind to the opportunity to live in a community where folks could contribute and add value to where they saw there was a need. Um, the way Finca operated, there really it was a very open and sort of loose structure, meaning that volunteers who came to live in the community, to live on the farm, had the opportunity to add value where they saw a need, right? Where they saw they could help, right? Where their expertise or where their interests lie. And so for me, um, being in that type of community allowed me to, in fact, work harder than I've ever worked because it was so open-minded and so understanding. That there wasn't, a lot of times when you're a community, you have to fit into a certain structure, right? There's delegation from the top down. I think it was very horizontal, meaning that it was very egalitarian and everybody was equal. So the community members would pitch in and contribute again where they saw there was a need. And so because of that, I worked in fact a lot harder than I ever have, where someone at another farm or another community or another school was telling me to do this and do that. It didn't feel as fulfilling, and the amount of satisfaction, the amount of meaning that you find contributing to the community where everyone is equal is really tremendous. So for me, that was quite transformative and quite warm.
Wow, that gave me the tingles. I want to go there. What do you think was the highlight experience for your children?
I think again, being in a community where adults treat children as equals was lovely. I mean, it was great to be a part of. And when I say that, I mean it in a lot of different senses. Um, at a place like Thincamorpho, when kids integrate with adults and they're not forced to do something, it often happens, as it did with my children, where they want to do something. So a lot of the kids at Thincamorpho would come in and volunteer and contribute for part of the time, right? If I was working on a project, my daughters would come in, work for 15 or 20 minutes, and that was all they had. And then they'd go off and do their thing and play. But, there was no judgment, and there was, no coercion of any kind. It was a very free flow environment where kids could come in and had the opportunity to volunteer where they had interest and when they felt like it. And so I think that type of environment and that type of energy breeds something beautiful from children. And so because of that, I think my children gained um, an understanding and a respect, not only for what adults have to do to build a community, but also the opportunity to be involved, when they're ready and when they're capable. So for me, that was one of the nice things about having my children experience Thincamorpho.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. Kind of what came to me next was just like a reflection. So for you as like a father, how was that experience working with your kids when they came in to co-create with you, to do something that you were both fully aligned on?
Gold. I mean, there are few things more precious than when you're doing something and your children come to you to help on their own volition and contribute and help. When they're ready and they're motivated and interested in it. And it again, it's because they have the intrinsic desire to do it, right? Not that I'm telling them to do it or forcing them to do it or even trying, you know, encouraging them to or roping into it. Just I'm doing my thing, and they're coming in to help me when they're ready. It's gold.
So if you flash back to before you came to Morpho and you're imagining now you're talking to some of these other families who like are on the cusp of making this transition that you have, what's something that you would tell them about what would have helped you to do this quicker or to feel more comfortable or to really secure your position and making, of course you made the jump because you were brave, and what would you say to somebody who wasn't maybe as brave as you were?
I think it starts with taking a look at yourself and your own life and where you are and your community and whether it's the states or outside, um, and saying and asking yourself, how much am I being challenged, and how much satisfaction and how much reward am I getting from my everyday life. And unfortunately, I think for a lot of people, when they ask themselves, well, I should say fortunately and unfortunately, because that's a very challenging question to ask yourself. But if you do ask yourself that in an honest and transparent way, I think that will give you the courage to do something bold, like coming to visit Thincamorpho or going to an intentional community where it's outside of your comfort zone, because that's really what it is, right? I mean, and that's the one of the biggest challenges, especially in America, is we live in such a comfortable, convenient space, right? I mean, there's very few things that scare us or are inconvenient or challenging. And so I think you have to look at yourself and ask, how much satisfaction, how much reward am I getting from living this life here where things are probably very comfortable and very convenient, yet, that they're a bit shallow and unrewarding because they're probably not offering people the opportunity to challenge themselves to live within a community where you have to live with people, right? But because you're living with those folks and because you're rallying around, most of it rallies around living again off the earth, going back to a more tribal existence. which is how humans have lived for centuries, you feel a deeper connection, not only to the earth, but I think to people. And when you start to feel those connections, despite the challenges and despite the discomfort and inconvenience, you find yourself going to bed at night at peace, right? Much more at peace because you have worked through these challenges and because there is a reward in facing those challenges and working with people. I think that is another thing that really resonates with me after my experience at Thinkamorpho is the opportunity to work with people. I mean, playing with people, partying with people, those are all fun, and I have a lot of friends who I've created relationships with that way too. But since my time at Thinkamorpho, my desire and my ability and my interest in creating relationships now revolves much more around working with someone. I remember volunteering at Thinkamorpho very well, very fondly, volunteering with community members there and creating a relationship that was almost instant. That evening after working together on a project, we'd have dinner and there would be an instant connection that didn't exist in this life, in this space. So I think I think that's probably it. Really, take a look at yourself and think about the relationships in your life and think about the opportunity to go do something a little bolder, a little more challenging. But the reward is that you get to create. You probably most likely are going to get to create relationships that are more meaningful and deeper.
Wow. Got one last question for you. How is your from this, stepping out of your comfort zone and making this venture, how was your life altered, or what was different for you and your family? How did the path of your life uh, continue after you left Thinkamorpho?
I think I think the biggest thing is probably now more than ever, I'm seeking relationships that I'm seeking to create relationships where I'm trying to find people who I can work with, and even more so with my hands, to build a community. We've after Thinkamorpho, my wife and I, really dove into self-directed education. We helped start 2 different schools, and in a lot of ways, a self-directed school is um, is an intentional community, is a permaculture farm of humans. Um, it would be nice to marry the two and have a self-directed education school on a permaculture farm. And in my mind, that would be a dream come true. A thriving community where adults and children coexist and follow their interests and their passions, resolve their conflicts, form democracy and experience and enjoy the challenges of operating a community, yet also enjoy the benefits of playing and working together. So I think for me, that's probably the biggest takeaway is that um, I would love to see a farm or a community develop where people could come to a safe space that was free of judgment and where children and adults could follow their interests and live off the land.
That's sounds pretty awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really super appreciate it. And to be honest, like hearing your authentic words just filled my heart full of passion for the next phases that are coming forward, and the conversation we had before this about Finkel of Pause and the possibility of anchoring the vision that you just shared into reality. And that for me is a fire, burning fire of passion and desire to bring forth that space and to continue on the legacy of Morpho into the new chapter and connect the kids and the planet with the people and make it happen. So thanks again.
Tigon, I want to say thank you for what you've created. at Think of Morpho and what you're going to create at La Paz in the future. It's a special place, and you and your community have a special energy. And I look forward to hearing all about it.
All right. Well, you tell that fantastic wife of yours about all the good news. We're going to be meeting in March, and we'll be talking about 2025 and getting this school going. That for me is a heaven's yes, as my new terminology says. It's 100% yeah. Let's do that.
Keep up the good work, Ticon.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day.
You too. Good to see you.
See you soon.
Bye bye.